Okay, so there's an actual Goldilocks zone. Now with Neptune, hello Celeste, with Neptune, astronomers assume that it's too cold, too pressurized, no solid surface, no chance for life or pre-biology on it. But three problems with that. Number one, if you have the outer atmosphere of Neptune being near a vacuum and you have the interior of Neptune being at 700 gigapascal, what you have is you're going to have a middle ground somewhere of just the right pressures. Number two, if it's too cold, then that doesn't make any sense either because Neptune's interior is 5100 degrees Celsius. Then its outer atmosphere or high atmosphere is negative 200 something Celsius. So you're going to have a middle ground with temperature too, somewhere inside of Neptune. Number three, lack of solid surface. That would prevent life or pre-biology from taking place. If you have something blocking the mixture of chemicals on large scale, then you limit your possibilities for mixing chemicals together. You don't want a wall there. That'd be like going to a fundraiser event and everywhere you go, you have a concrete wall surrounding you and you can't communicate or hear anybody. That would be ridiculous, don't you think so? The exchange of ideas is where the money is made, where you can convince people to give you some cash. Same thing with life. You don't want a solid surface in pre-biology. You want things to mix on huge scales. And you also, who said that pre-biology didn't require cryogenic temperatures? Superconductors need them. Who said that the beginning of life didn't require superconducting material or the properties of superconductors? How do we know that for sure? Have we studied Neptune in depth? Have we seen the chemicals forming in its high atmosphere under the strange conditions that it exists in? I don't think so. I think they're making assumptions that are tied to the idea that life in pre-biology as it is in the universe is exactly as it is as we experience it. So you have an average, comfortable temperature of 22 degrees Celsius, and you have a temperature of about 1 bar in the atmosphere on the surface, and we also have a surface. But astronomers go, well, if we're going to find life, it's going to be just like Earth. That's a ridiculous idea. Not only that, but what about pre-biology? What about when things were really strange, weird? Some parts of it were cryogenic, some parts of it were thousands of degrees. We're talking pre-biology. We're talking the type of mixtures of chemicals that far exceed our normal daily experiences, which is probably why the origins of life question is such a elusive, mysterious thing, is because these people are walling themselves off in a tunnel of ideas and groupthink, and they don't realize that nature is far, far, far grander than their assumptions can take into account. That being said, it's pressures, it's the temperatures, it's life as we know it. We can't look at the stars as being sort of what we expect them to be. I know Halton Arp went over this when he was in his astronomy classes and physics classes in his college. Way back in the day, he was interviewed. His teacher had spoken up and said, well, looks like we have an astrophysicist in the crowd, or in the class. And Halton Arp was like, is that me? Or I think that's me. But I'm an astronomer. I'm not an astrophysicist, and that's the problem. Astronomy is supposed to be look up at the stars and you don't make assumptions about it. You take observations and you make note of them. Astrophysics looks up at the stars and they already know what they are. They already know what to expect. There's nothing new up there. They conform to our assumptions. I challenge people in the future astronomers, future astrophysicists, to take your assumptions and what you think to be true and just throw them out the window. You don't know everything, and there are certain possibilities out there that you're neglecting because you think you know everything. And there are a lot of ideas you accept that are completely wrong. And I think it's going to be time to sort of really dig deep and look at ourselves in a critical light. Otherwise, we're never going to understand what life is. We're never going to understand what the earth is, which to me is obvious. And we're never going to understand where we came from. All right, y'all. Later.